At this time, I would like to welcome Representative Ann Joseph Cao. Congressman Joseph Cao is a New Orleans lawyer. He's the first Vietnamese American Republican elected on December 2008 to serve in Congress. We are very proud to know that you continue to assist needy victims of the Katrina hurricane in your state. You have also introduced many bills defending human rights in Vietnam. As a member of the National Advisory Council of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, Congressman Ann Joseph Cao will speak on religious freedom in Vietnam. Thank you.
I would like to express my sincere thanks to Sophie with the Human Rights Watch, as well as with the Religious Freedom Commission, and with other members who have spoken before me on the issue of human rights and religious freedom in Vietnam. And I would like to also congratulate our two Vietnam Human Rights Award recipients. I know that to fight for freedom, to fight for human rights, to fight for democracy in Vietnam requires a tremendous amount of courage, as well as commitment, as well as dedication. And I know that the recipients convey those characters, those values, and I would like to again extend my deepest respect, as well as my deepest congratulations to the award recipients. Now, when we talk about the fight for religious freedom, the fight for democracy in Vietnam, we often point people like our recipients today and others, but we have to look at the role of each one of us in the community when we talk about the issue of human rights and democracy, especially in Vietnam. Even though we have people, we have leaders who are in the forefront of the fight to bring freedom to Vietnam, but I believe that this fight must be incumbent upon each and every one of us in the community in order for us to be successful. What can we do as a community to push for human rights and democracy in Vietnam? I have stressed the importance of us speaking out, as Sophie has so adamantly stressed, emphasized that we have to continue to speak out. And one of the greatest ways for us to speak out is to actually go and vote. We have to vote as a community. We have to support those candidates who support our policies. And we have to speak out against those candidates who do not support our policies. With 1.5 million Vietnamese in the United States, we can turn our voice into a very powerful voice for change. And we have to utilize the tool that the U.S. Constitution has endowed upon U.S. citizens. So as a community, we have to work together as one voice. We cannot have different factions working oftentimes in contrast against one another, because when we're talking about human rights, when we're talking about religious freedom, we all want that same goal. We all have that same purpose. The question that we have is, as a community, can we come together to achieve that goal, to achieve that purpose? And I believe that we can. We have shown that in the past 34 years through leaders such as Dr. Tang, through Boat People SOS, we have work with other leaders in California, in Houston. But every one of us in our community, we must have a role, and that role is obviously to speak out, to support those candidates who support our policies, who support our agenda, and and not only to go and speak and to vote for those people, but also to help them to win. Because if they cannot win, they cannot speak on our behalf. And that's extremely, extremely important. Our community, we have to get more politically involved. I know that every time when I go to different communities all over the country, whether it's Orange County, whether it's Houston, whether it's Virginia, whether it's DC or other areas, it seems to me that it's the same individuals who show up. We have a very few people who stand out in our community to fight for freedom, but it seems like the rest of the community are somehow not as involved in a more comprehensive way. And I believe that we have to do that if we want to bring change to our community, if we want to bring change to our country. We have today 2 recipients who convey us the courage and the dedication and the commitment to promote human rights and religious freedom. And my challenge to the Vietnamese American community is that can we emulate their leadership in us, in each and every one of us here in the United States. We are living in a democracy, yet we fail to use our own gifts to promote democracy in Vietnam and in other parts of the world. I believe that the Dalai Lama expressed very explicitly and very strongly when I met with him about 2 months ago. He says that the fight for human rights and religious freedom never ends. It never ends. There will always be other parts of the world, whether it is not Vietnam, there will always be other parts of the world that needs each and every one of us to speak out. We are of the Vietnamese descent, so therefore our focus right now will be on Vietnam. But as Vietnamese, because we have already encountered and lived through the persecution, our voices carries a lot more weight than those who have not lived through the persecution, who have not experienced a regime that will put people in jail for being bloggers, that will put people in jail simply for speaking out against the government. So our voices as Vietnamese, as people who have lived through the experiences, who have endured religious freedom, who have escaped the communist regime twice, not once but twice, 1954 and 1975, our voices carry a lot of weight. And therefore, I ask that we as a community must come together, must work together in order to promote human rights and religious freedom. Because if we continue to have factions, if we continue to dilute our voices because of personal differences or other differences whatsoever, then our voices will be weakened and we cannot carry the weight that we want in order to get the change that we need. So again, I highly encourage that the community must come together to work with us, to work with Ed Royce, to work with Chris Smith, to work with other members who are supportive of our agenda, of our policies, to push for the Vietnam Human Rights Bill through the U.S. Congress. I had a meeting with Chairman Berman just last week, actually, for the first time after 4 months of constant requesting. He finally sat down and spoke with us, and he got out the Vietnam Human Rights Bill, and he conveyed some of his reservations and we were able to discuss with him and maybe even come out with a different plan. I know that you were instrumental in drafting that human rights bill, and we might be looking at separating the bill into two different parts, because as it stands right now, one section goes through the Ways and Means Committee, and another one goes through the Foreign Affairs Committee. And it seems that the portion that goes through the Foreign Affairs Committee is somewhat minor in comparing to what we want to get done through the Ways and Means. That is to deprive Vietnam of, for example, of GSP, to put Vietnam back into the countries of particular concern. So we are looking at different ways in order for us to get this bill through, even possibly breaking it into two different parts. So maybe if we can, with Sophie and with others, maybe we can sit down and look at a different way of trying to push through this agenda. And again, for us to be successful, we will need the help and support of every one of us in this room, as well as the 1.5 Vietnamese American all over the United States, to speak out our voices, to push for what we want, because we are Vietnamese Americans in this country, and we are endowed with the right to speak out and to push for what we believe in. And I encourage that we all do that, because we cannot do it alone. We cannot do it alone. We need your help, and we need your assistance in lobbying, in supporting candidates who support Vietnam human rights. So with that, thank you very much. I hope that our community will come together to achieve this goal, that one day we can call Vietnam a country of democracy.
Thank you very much, Congressman Joseph Cao. You have given us 3 advices. One is for us to get more involved, and whether we are Democrats or Republicans or Independents, we have to go on, bring change, and get together to work not only among ourselves but also with members of Congress and the Senate and with NGOs. Thank you so much.